And we back, puppy.
TI.
So I asked this question today. If you were arrested in a Russian airport and thrown in jail, who would they trade you for?
Wait.
No, you were there. And then Cindy said, trade you? Russia would pay us back to get you back. Like, they would pay the U.S. money to get rid of you.
I think there's actually a teacher in custody over there that they are arguing they should do the swap instead of Brittany Griner.
I heard about that.
Yeah. There's also like a Marine that I wasn't really clear on the case that they should do the swap instead of Brittany Griner.
Well, that's kind of like what, because Brittany Griner, a WNBA All-Star, just got released recently.
I never heard of her until this happened.
Yeah, dude, she was like a legit, probably one of the best, if not the best, basketball player in the WNBA.
After she got arrested, then I started looking at clips. Oh, okay, she's pretty good.
Yeah, she was legit. I think she was like a stud college basketball player at Baylor. She has
the most dunks, I think, in the WNBA.
Yeah, she was like the only one that could dunk for a long time. Yeah. But besides that, she was arrested. Apparently, she had like some vape pens.
She'd taken it before, and she was making the excuse of
so she accidentally.
It's allowed by United States, whatever.
Yeah, but
so once the Ukraine and Russia thing kicked off, of course we're giving Ukraine a bunch of money. Putin's looking for any freaking reason. Hey, Putin's like, give me a reason, homie.
That's where it becomes political.
Oh, you got some chick over here who has some weed on her? Here we go.
Yeah.
9-year sentence in prison. They get her max.
And somebody said for weed.
Yeah, 9 years in prison.
So I guess she had like a cartridge. Yeah. You know, one of those vape cartridges for.
So,
but like since she got released, it's like, oh, how do you know? Obviously, there's gonna, no matter what, you know, the issue is these days, somebody and somewhere is gonna make some kind of issue about it, whether they agree with it or not. And so right now, now that the exchange has happened, and the announcement's already been made, and the announcement was made and the exchange has already happened. Victor Bout, right, the Russian,
the notorious Russian arms dealer,
he was exchanged back. He's back in Russia, and Brittany Griner's back here. And I've already heard people say, "Oh, you know, like they gave up the deadliest arms dealer in history for a basketball player."
Yeah.
What happened? What about this guy? So it's always going to be like criticized, no matter what. Like if it would have been the other way, where Paul Whelan, he's the other American that wasn't in this exchange. If it would have been him, then there would have been other people said, "Oh, well, what about Brittany Griner? You know, this and that." So no matter what the issue is, there's always going to be controversy, no matter what. But the thing here, I guess, what a lot of people will argue is like, was it a fair exchange? Was it a fair exchange?
Well, they're arguing that this guy Victor Bout's going to go. I mean, so here's just a few charges that stood out to me: conspiracy to kill Americans, selling military-grade arms to African countries, provide material support to a terrorist-grade organization, amongst a few that really jumped out at me. So you're like, all right, for the United States, all right, man, who we exchange this guy for? Hey, how about let's exchange it for, the girl who wanted to get high in Russia. Hey, let's do that, right? Mm-hmm. So imagine like there's a possibility that this was the first thing I was thinking. There's a possibility this guy's going to do stuff because there's a good chance he's going to keep on doing this stuff. So if we talked about this earlier, the movie Lord of War,
yeah,
Nicolas Cage, and we looked it up right now, and dude, so that
movie is legit. Amazing. That's one of
Nicolas Cage, Gone in 60 Seconds, Lord of War 2, two of my favorite Nick Cage
Scarface. Face Off.
Oh yeah, Face
Off. That was a cool one, but he's a good actor.
So he's mostly based on 5 main arms dealers, and Victor Bout
is one of
them. Yeah. And so if you wanted to know a little bit more about arms dealer, not a big deal. No,
it's a big
watch
deal.
That movie.
Yeah,
it's crazy. It's crazy. I mean, don't get me wrong. Hey, United States, Americans, they have their own. Jonah Hill did a movie where he was.
Oh yeah.
God of War. Is something like that. Lord of War, God of War. No. I think it was like God of War.
Something dogs.
Dog. War Dogs.
War Dogs.
It was War Dogs.
No, I don't know.
Okay,
maybe.
But anyways, like we do it too, but
Find out.
And I know some other ones, like we've traded spies before, like France Scary Powers 1959, the U2 spy plane when
War
it got
Dogs.
shot down. It is War Dogs.
2016 War Dogs.
Okay.
Awesome movie.
And so we did a prisoner exchange, and I know Tom Hanks did a whole movie on that. It's right, a legitimate, U2 pilot was taking pictures over Russian airspace, and we traded him for spies. Like, okay,
Yes.
but in this case, like,
So that's kind of where
WNBA
that's
started,
why I
right?
always like kind of like I sit back and watch like people like kind of debate whether this was a fair exchange or not, and I always kind of think to myself, the government's never gonna fully release all of the details in an exchange. They never do,
those are facts.
regardless if it's a
Yeah.
Republican or Democrat or
Yeah.
some other party, whatever. Those two, but. It reminded me of the 1963 agreement between the United States and the Soviet Union during the
Cuban
Missile Crisis in
Uh-huh.
October 1963, and that was one of the closest moments in history where we almost
Ended
literally
history.
we almost blew up the world,
Yeah.
right? We had nuclear missiles and
Whatnot
whatnot.
has prevailed. Yeah.
So, and because of that, now they established a hotline between the Kremlin and the White House, in Moscow and Washington,
Yeah.
D.C. But in that deal, and this is why I kind of think like there's something else to it. I think there's other details that we don't know, and they're not going to tell us. Maybe later they will. I don't know. But in that deal where they agreed and the United States came out looking as the winner in this deal, this negotiation, because Cuba had Soviet missiles, right? And the Soviet Union agreed to remove those missiles out of Cuba,
Yeah.
away,
Yeah.
from American shores, because it's only 90 miles away from the
It
United
is.
States.
They had first strike capabilities.
Yes. And so what a lot of people didn't know at the time until later, but part of that agreement, and it wasn't publicized,
We had nukes in Turkey.
we had nuclear missiles in Turkey doing the
Their
same
neighbor.
thing.
Their neighbor, yeah.
The same thing
Yeah.
to the Soviets.
Uh-huh.
And part of that agreement said, okay, if you agree to remove these missiles in Cuba, we'll agree to remove these missiles in Turkey, but
Yeah.
in 6 months,
Yeah.
to kind of like
Make us look better.
Yeah,
in front of
Kennedy
us.
looked like,
Like,
he was.
we're all gonna live. We're not
Yeah.
gonna blow up the world.
Soviet Union, you bow down,
Yeah.
we owned you, blah,
We
blah, blah. But in
promise.
reality, it was like, hey, one for one. You remove missiles, we'll
So-
remove ours, but later, so that nobody knows.
So similar things going on right now with TikTok. TikTok is a Chinese-owned company, and there's American officials releasing information talking about we should think about banning TikTok in the United States. It doesn't look like that's going to happen, but the reason why is they're going to be looking at the private information, facial scans, like all this stuff, right?
Oh, that's right.
So take a step back. Do American companies do this, like Facebook and all the? Hell yeah, they do. You better believe it.
And that's
But
Yeah.
it's like we do it, it's okay. So we as Americans, we believe it's of course not okay, but at least we have certain rights to protect us.
yeah.
But what our officials worry about, well, if they're in Chinese hands, you do not have rights to protect you.
Yeah.
And it's totally different.
And that's kind of, it also reminded me of this whole like, oh, well, they're spying on us. They're spying.
Yeah.
Dude, we spy on everybody.
We spy, baby.
Like spy
Yeah.
games spying is a real thing. Like James Bond is real.
Yeah.
Like
The
you know
movie,
what I'm saying?
the movie Snowden. Have you ever seen that?
Oh, it's awesome,
Yeah,
dude.
I showed it in
Awesome.
class.
Yeah, it's awesome. But
skip
the-
sex scenes, by the way. I just
But the idea of us spying on other countries is a real legitimate thing. It's just like everybody's trying to spy on each other. It's
America,
it's
baby.
it's the nature of where we're at,
America.
and it's part of like the fight against any foreign threats against us, or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Just kind of looking at this, it kind of made me wonder, like
Fascinating.
because we don't know all the details. They're not going to tell us all the details.
Yes.
But it kind of seems like, man, we gave up a celebrity basketball player.
She wasn't a celebrity.
Well, she was because
is now.
Well, she was. She is.
Remember I read the
For
W?
somebody who was a convicted,
Because there was a thing going on at first. Hey, man, if it was LeBron James, well, yes, okay, you can make that argument.
Yeah.
But if it was Malik Monk, and the first thing you said was, "Who's Malik Monk?" And I said, "Exactly."
But I don't know. It just kind of made me wonder: Are we getting soft? Like, are we becoming too nice of of a country where
Yeah.
we're just like, you know what, okay. But I don't know. Again, we don't know the details. It kind of made me wonder, like, are we becoming like nice, like Canada? Like Canada's like really the
become
nicest,
Canadians?
you know, like
Sorry.
they're the nicest. I don't know, like
Sorry.
yeah, there you go. Yeah, I mean, I know that's a
Yeah.
stereotype and not, but
Uh-huh.
it just kind of made me wonder of that. So
So do your flesh and screen or what?
yeah,
So there's some meme that we found.
Yeah.
Here it goes,
I
right?
don't know if you can see that straight, but I think you can.
So the idea here was, it says Americans are nicer than Canadians. Airplane etiquette survey reports, and of course we have the fun line up here. Yeah, get fuck Canada.
And I wonder who did that survey though,
Yeah.
because like, I don't know.
Here's the thing. I didn't click on the link. I didn't Google the link, but you know what for? I'm going to take it as truth. It's on Instagram. It's from the New York Post. But even then, they're a little
So
more.
it seems
it's
like
the
it
New
was
York
a survey
Times.
done by
Yeah,
maybe like
definitely
flight
American.
attendants,
Yeah. Who knows? By
but it seems like
Americans are the airplane etiquette survey report. So it's like some airplane etiquette survey. And what's crazy about that is you wouldn't believe that by looking at all the videos of especially during the mask when everybody had to be masked on the
Yeah.
plane's mandatory with everybody kind of getting in fights and arguing about can keep
Yeah.
the plane
it just seems
you
like
definitely want to see that
it happened a lot here. But at the same time,
those are isolated
because
incidents.
of because of technology now, everybody has cell phones.
Yeah.
It seemed like it was happening more than it actually did.
Yeah.
And like if you think about it statistically, how many flights happen a day?
Yeah.
Like how many of these occurrences occurred?
Statistically, you are more likely to die from your car ride to the airport than the actual plane flight, and that's
Yeah.
just so we don't think in terms of stats. We think in terms
I've
of
heard of that, but
yeah. But our worst
I
fear
never,
is like
I never bought
the
into
engines
it.
the engines go down, and you're like, okay, we're gonna die.
Well,
But an auto accident, we have a chance to So there is a lot of variables.
Well,
in
it's
there,
kinda
but
like
it's a fun idea.
Well, it's kind of like another like random fact, and that's kind of what we're getting into today. Is like these random facts, right?
Uh-huh.
An airplane's pilot and co-pilot eat different meals just in case one causes food poisoning.
So you do realize they made a whole movie about that, right? It was a 1980 film. It was called Airplane.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah.
I remember the movie. I don't remember.
Oh, just what I mean. It's one of those comedies you really can't show nowadays. They were talking about jive in there, and they were talking about Jewish sports legends, and it's just certain humor that just you can't bring in the
That's where you got
today.
your coffee line.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Look up the coffee line,
How do you
right?
like your coffee?
Yeah. How do you like your
Yeah,
coffee?
okay.
Yeah. So
But yeah, it's so like, and I just kind of got over my fear of flying. Like I would not fly. I would avoid airports
como Richie Valens, really?
because of the movie La Bamba. I swear to you, because of La Bamba, I'm like, Richie, no. I'm like, oh,
Not my Richie!
not my Richie. But when I remember watching it as a kid, I'm like, holy crap.
It scared me too.
And so I'm like, I ain't
I
flying.
remember the first time I was a little nervous.
I was 23 the first time I flew.
Damn.
Only because I knew I was going to have to fly later.
Yeah.
Because my brother got married,
Yeah.
and my sister-in-law, her family's from Colombia, South America. Colombia, not Colombia. Colombia. So
You can't say the
I
name.
knew I was going to have to fly there. So I'm like, I might as well give it a dry run. So I flew from Phoenix to Fresno to visit my cousins. And so that was the first time I flew. And now I'm over it, but I didn't know that to avoid any kind of food poisoning, the pilot and the co-pilot eat separate foods.
That's really cool.
I don't know.
Yeah, so I don't know if it's actually based on the movie or if the movie's based on that actual thing. It'd be a fun thing to look up. But yeah, it's just
Random.
Yeah,
that's
that's-
random.
the whole movie is based on that premise. The entire movie. It's amazing.
So you had another
Anybody know how to
interesting.
fly an airplane?
Yeah, the other interesting random thing that we're kind of exchanging
Okay.
different mind.
Okay.
Talk about that Kruger one.
So there's something I brought up one time. I posted, if you know me, and the Dunning-Kruger effect, right? Smarter people are more likely, because the smarter people are more likely underestimate themselves, while dumber people are more likely to believe they are brilliant. This is the Dunning-Kruger effect. You see in the back, 2 + 2 = 5. So I've gone through this pretty thoroughly, and it's one of my favorite psychology theories in the world. That I was always wondering I remember just growing up thinking, man, they seem pretty confident about this, but I started thinking of all the steps, like, oh, well, that wouldn't make sense because this, that wouldn't make sense for that wouldn't work. but what if I'm wrong? This guy seems really confident. So, all right. So in a lot of meetings or in group work, stuff like that, sometimes the most aggressive, confident person, they're going to win the day. But what we don't realize is it's really easy to be super confident if your mental limits are like, yeah. So this thing actually helps me sleep at night. This helped keep me out of a lot of arguments since I've learned about this thing. And it's just, I love this.
Is that where the whole fake it till you make it came to be? Like, or
I don't know.
Or is that the different?
I don't know if it's the same concept. You shouldn't get an argument with a stupid person. It's the same concept.
Okay, because you're not going to change your mind.
Yeah.
They're going to.
Yeah. So the dumber you are, the louder you're going to be. The smarter you are, the more you're going to reconsider, like, well, can I possibly be wrong? And they're not going to be as outspoken. So it's this super interesting thing done by two psychologists out of Cornell University. They came up with this theory. Professor Dunning and Professor Kruger.
Okay.
Yeah, they came up with this.
That makes a lot of sense.
Fascinating.
I know a lot of people on both ends.
Yeah, and everybody,
I know a lot of smart people and all of
our listeners just pop in your head, and now you're just thinking, oh, these two right here, they look pretty confident. Well, maybe that's why we are so confident. Hey, Dunning-Kruger effect. There you go.
I wonder how much validity. It's kind of like that one thing we're talking about before, where, like, for guys, like, hairy chests are a sign of intelligence.
Oh,
or
yeah.
Or what was that, something like that?
That was one of them.
Did you have that? Okay.
There it is.
Oh, okay, my bad. I didn't remember if you had it or not.
There it is. Having a hairy chest. There it is. So having a hairy chest has been linked to higher intelligence of men.
Shoot.
So what are they basing off? Of course, I am absolutely offended by it.
I'm like, damn, I must be stupid.
Yeah, because I have
nothing here.
I have a lot of Indio in me because I cannot grow. Hey, why don't you grow a beard or something? Well, I freaking can. I have too much Indio in me.
Yeah.
You know, like, hairy chest is just not going to happen. You know, arms, whatever.
You know what?
I think when you're at an assembly, I don't know if you know, but supposedly it was when Mags was running the ASB.
Okay.
It was a Make-A-Wish thing. Supposedly one of the students made a wish, make a wish, to wax my freaking legs. They waxed my legs in the middle of the assembly.
Dude,
you know this? And I was like, yeah, go ahead. You know why? Because my hair is so thin. But maybe, according to this, you know, the hairy chest, the thick hair, whatever, it's because I'm a dumbass.
It took me a whole 37 years to grow even a mustache. Because during the pandemic, I grew out my facial hair because I was like, well, I ain't going nowhere. Yeah. I've never been able to grow much hair, and I let it grow out. It was nasty. It was, dude, I looked like what's it, a Unabomber.
Yeah.
I had a mustache though. I was like, oh crap, I'm like, man, you got facial hair? I was like, yeah. It only took a pandemic to happen to finally do it, but I looked, yeah. But yeah, I guess according to this, I'm pretty stupid. But here's another good one. On December 25th, a town in Peru celebrates what they call Tacanacuy, where people settle grudges from the past year by fist fighting.
That's badass.
Then everyone drinks together.
Yeah.
That's a sign of a good time. It kind of reminds me of the movie The Purge. Like, hey, on this day, you know, un desmadre, but only on this day.
Okay.
But on this day, it's like, hey, if you got beef, let's settle it. Let's throw hands. And
they do it
after that, we're going to have a beer.
I remember in 8th grade, I had battle with a teammate of mine in an 8th grade football team, Pop Warner, right? And oh man, why Raul Hawkins? You know, good dude, man. I don't know how he's doing now, but good dude. So we got him some crap, and my coach Black, he made us not fight, but he made us wrestle at the end of practice. And we went at it for a while, man. Hey, I get a lot of respect to that dude that day because he's pretty damn strong. So at the end of it, man, we went at it. We went hard, this and that. I personally think he might have got the best of me that day, but I remember we stopped and we definitely had mutual respect. So in the same frame, you box it out like that.
You know what? I think
talking behind people's back. You know,
I think if we did that here, like, hey, you know what? You got beef. On February 13th, we're gonna throw chingazos.
There'll be more love the next day.
And then the next day, Valentine's Day. Like, hey, duke it out, handle it, settle your beef, and then move on. You know what I'm saying?
Then we could be in love.
You never know. What's that saying?
Love dies with the flowers?
El temor se convierte en amor or something like that.
Uh,
hate turns into love. Something like that. I don't know.
see,
Anyways,
it's true.
here's another one. I love this one.
Best relationships are the people that I could talk shit to.
Yeah. Mindblowingfacts.com says sarcasm. I love sarcasm. Sarcasm boosts creative thinking because in order to understand it, we must overcome contradictions between the literal and intended meaning of sarcastic statements. I always said that sarcasm is a form of intelligence because you have to kind of think past the literal meaning to kind of say the opposite.
Yeah.
And my friends know how sarcastic I can be. I'm very sarcastic. I love sarcastic people, but in the classroom, I have to make a conscious effort to scale it back because not everybody understands it.
You have to
Right.
be careful to the level, not even who you drop it with, but to what level you drop your
Yes.
sarcasm.
And so some of my most sarcastic students often is like the ones I'm like, yeah, I like you. I
Yeah.
like your sarcasm
Uh-huh.
because it, I don't know, like their wheels spin differently, but
Mhm.
they actually have to think about sort of making a joke that's sarcastic, that's not very basic, but it's kind of like next level.
A student asked me yesterday, what was it? I was texting my wife, and class about to start, and then they asked me, "Hey, Santana, hey, Santana, who are you texting?" And they just, I was like, dude, why,
Your mom.
why you? That's exactly what I said. Who are you texting? I looked over, I was like,
That was my first thought.
like your mom, and then just the people
dude.
around us, but it was like, dude, why are you asking my personal business? Dude, what do you? Hey, don't worry about it. So it just once he asked me, kind of my nerves started. It was triggered a little bit. And I mean, everybody thought it was funny. I was lucky that everybody within that splash zone could handle that.
Yeah.
But man, it just I got to be careful. It slips out. So I remember I talked to you about I had Mr. Jeffries, I had Ryan Jeffries in high school, and I know that in the past I've heard he's not everybody's cup of tea. And the only reason I could think of is that people have a hard time processing sarcasm.
Yeah.
Those are the ones that have the hardest time in this class because, man, I just remember walking out of there and having a great understanding what
The
life
first
was.
like real conversation I had with him, because I met him before.
You got to be ready,
dude,
Yeah.
but in Laughlin.
Yeah,
we went to Laughlin.
Yeah.
I had talked to him briefly before, but it was just kind of breaking the ice. And when we went to that Laughlin trip first
Yeah.
time, I was like, "Oh my god, this guy's sarcastic like
Yeah.
no other." I was like,
Yeah,
"Ryan Jeffries, I love you."
we do.
But I don't know, like when you say that, like your mom, whatever. You know what they need to bring back?
Oh.
Your mama jokes.
Just
Your
can't.
mama jokes. Like because it shouldn't be taken personally, but it's like, hey, you're just
It could be a
Busting
sensitive
chops,
thing.
man.
And I remember
Busting
I was kind of it's 21, 22, 23. I was a cook at Red Lobster. Did I ever tell you that?
Hmm?
I was a cook at Red Lobster for a little bit. That's how I learned how to cook the steaks. They trained us to use the temperature gauge, but then the guy, the cook, he never used temperature gauge on the steaks. I'm like, dude, how do you do that? And he showed me that. Anyways, that's what really got me into it. But so anyways, there was a fry cook there that night, and he asked me something. I don't know what question. My return was, "Your mom." And he turned around, and got all serious. He's like, I remember he was on the fry
My
cook.
mama.
Shh. And I was over here, and I said something about your mom. He's like, stops. The tongs in his hand. He's like, dude, my mom's dead. I'm like, oh, crap. Like, dude, just come on, just go on the joke. But so for years and years and years, I really held back from talking
You know
about
what?
anybody's mom.
And remember when I was in junior high,
Uh-huh.
like because your mama jokes, right? It'd be a popular thing.
Yeah.
But when people didn't know us, like somebody's like, "Oh, I bust your mama joke," we would say, or like my friend would say, "My mom's dead."
Yeah.
And he's like, "I got you, just kidding." He's like, so it kind of ruined the whole your mama joke, whatever. But yeah, they need to bring those back. I don't know. Here's another one. Richer women tend to binge drink and have more alcohol-related problems than poorer women, while the opposite is true for men.
Oh, wait.
So, richer women have more alcohol-related problems,
They tend
and
to be
poorer
more-
men have more alcohol-related than.
So the richer women tend to be more dramatic alcoholics. Poor men tend to be more dramatic alcoholics.
Yeah.
You're saying
That's
really
crazy.
interesting. Damn, where do we fall? Shit,
I don't know.
are we middle class?
I'm rich because I have you in my life.
That's right, baby.
So I don't know. It was like
Fucking
I
right.
saw him like, what could be the reason for that? Like,
Mm.
why do poor men
Super interesting.
like? What would be like factors that I don't know.
Now, there's another one that we got. Smarter children often become heavier drinkers as adults.
What?
Smarter children often become heavier drinkers as adults. So I have my own theories on this. And the idea behind it is the brighter you are, the more obsessed you are, the more stress you tend to take on in life. Therefore, you tend to drink more. And even just smarter people just tend to drink more. Is it universal? No, absolutely not. And where's this information from? Who cares? That's on the internet, so it's true.
It has to be true.
It's gotta be true.
It has to be.
So
It's not on Facebook, so it has to be true.
I got my own alcohol issues. Some of it's genetic, some of it's just flat out a good time. So who knows, right?
Well, it's like they say,
Yeah.
surround yourself with people who have issues because they always have alcohol. Is that how it is? Right?
That's
There
right.
it is. I thought that was funny.
Surround yourself by people who have issues because they always have alcohol. That's right. Hey, that's right,
True
baby.
Story.
Yeah.
True story. Speaking of,
Yeah, because there's a lot of people that I know that are into the key. I'll never forget the time I was at a bar with my brother-in-law, and I told him, dude, you were at the bar. And I was like, my brother-in-law, Louis, right? And I told him, hey, man, I'm going to take a shot. And he's like, well, if you take a shot, I'm going to take a shot with you. And he don't want to, but that's kind of how we've always been, right? And so he's like, all right, what are you going to pick? I was like, well, I always go with tequila. And he kind of made the sour face like, oh. And then,
the ninth period? Ninth period?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, it's
weird.
So like, all right, what kind of tequila you want? He made the sour face when I said tequila. What kind of tequila you want? He's like, what do you mean? Like, yeah, we could go with this one. It's a little bit more tart. The this one is a little smoother. I think I was going between Don Julio Patron and I think Casa. No. Not with the one with the deer. I forget. Anyways, there's one is a little sharper, a little more tart.
Mm-hmm.
There's a Patron, that's your classic, a little more whatever. And then there's Don Julio, is just smoother. What do you want to do? And he's looking like, you could taste the difference. And that's the first day I realized that I have a problem.
Oh, it's like, wait, you don't?
Wait,
Oh, damn.
wait, you can't.
What do you mean?
Oh no.
But you know what? And it kind of stemming off that, just here's another random fact related to.
Okay.
They say, how true is it? Who knows? But who cares? That drinking alcohol improves your ability to speak a foreign language.
Okay, I've experienced this, and because my Spanish troubles, being in Mexicali, my wife often asks me, a lot of people, how do you survive down there? Your Spanish is terrible, and I tell them, I don't know. But there was a time where I was sitting there.
I don't know.
There's very few. Look at I sit there and I drink a couple beers and then I'll leave after the game, right? Because I still have to drive home, whatever. So I'll drink two. I know my limit because you give me three and three turns at 3, 4, 5, right? But there was one day where I didn't have to drive for whatever reason, and I remember I was getting pretty tossed, and I was talking to this dude. I forget his real name. Oh yeah, Rafa Mian. Rafa Mian, but everybody's a big guy, right? So Mex, what do they call him? Gordo. Everybody. Like you see right now.
It's a classic. Hey, Gordo.
Yeah.
Why do you call you Gordo?
In English, it's crazy offensive, but in Spanish, it's like he just wears it.
Well, that's the thing is
Yeah.
in our culture, Nick, and we're actually gonna get to this later, but nicknames. Everybody has a nickname, and Gordo is like, and when you're younger, it's like, what's an easy way to? Oh, well, he's chubby. We'll call him Gordo.
Do you know what Messi's nickname was as a kid?
Who?
Messi. Lionel Messi.
No.
How do you say mute in Spanish?
Mudo?
Yeah, if something happened to do with something mudo, like him being
El
a
mudo?
mute. Yeah. So in the same context, if any kind of flaw you have, they're gonna.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
At the same time, sometimes it's
You're short. What do they call you?
Chaparro.
Uh-huh.
Chapo. Or,
Yeah. It's just
Whatever.
you can't hide.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I was talking to this guy, and I was getting pretty drunk, and I was sitting there talking to this guy. I don't know how, but there was other guys from the team that finally stopped us. Like, hey, how are you guys talking? We both look at each other like, say? And we don't know. I don't know, but we were talking for a while.
Well, I think
so. I've experienced
kind
it.
of lower your inhibitions and just like
Yeah.
So you get more expressive. I have do a lot of this.
I know a good number of words. I know how to flow. I know how to coach whatever. But you throw one word at me or me try to talk back, I have little brain blocks for whatever reason. When I have a little in me, maybe it's the liquid courage. Like I'm just going to say it. I don't care how stupid it sounds, and you just say whatever sentence phrase it is. Or, who freaking knows? But yes, I've experienced this. It's funny.
Hey,
yeah.
The beauty of alcohol.
So many beauties, from beer goggles to foreign languages.
Hey, the possibilities are endless.
Yeah, to Neosporin and Laughlin, things like that.
Yeah,
right?
why not? Right?
Yeah.
What you got there?
Here we go. So we were looking. The FBI has struggled to hire hackers because the FBI hiring rule is that the applicant must have not used marijuana for 3 years, the last 3 years. And so that's interesting, right? Do we have a lot of security problems with our, there's so much confidential, what's the word? I can't think of it.
Privilege? Confidential? No. Top secret?
Top secret files, classified, yeah.
I think I hit it.
And if you're a hacker, you could definitely jack into these files and look at whatever the hell, right? So why not hire people? That's what the movie Leo DiCaprio, Catch Me If You Can, was based off. It was a guy that was doing wrote off millions of dollars of bad checks and was getting away with it. So he understood the system so well. I think from the time before he was 18, he understood the system so well that the FBI, they gave him a hefty jail sentence, but the FBI let him go early on the condition that he worked for the FBI.
Oh,
have you seen this movie?
That's the one where he's like dating some girl too, and who's the dad? Yeah, I have seen it. I've seen parts of it.
Yeah.
I haven't seen the whole thing.
At one point, the guy actually passed the bar exam, and they asked him later, "How'd you cheat on the bar exam? How'd you pass it?" And he says, "I studied." So you have some very intelligent people. Like your top criminals, from drug dealers to whatever the hell. You have your low level ones, but they always seem to get caught.
Yeah.
The best criminals are the one that you probably don't know their name, or they get away with so many stuff because they're super, super bright. So the Catch Me If You Can concept, Leo DiCaprio, the movie is, they have flaws, whatever, but they're super bright. So the FBI has this flaw in their hiring system where you can't be getting hired for the past 3 years. So, hackers, are there a number of hackers that like to get hired? Well, apparently so.
Yeah. But I get, you should have strict conditions in your hiring process.
Well, with an illegal substance, and maybe that's just illegal.
But I feel like with marijuana, it's especially now, it's just becoming a lot more I don't know, accepted.
Yeah.
Because honestly, I remember growing up with a couple potheads, and they function like. I didn't even know they were high. I'm like,
exceptional potheads.
And I'm like,
I've been around potheads want to get high and
I understand.
Most of the potheads want to go to sleep.
They're like, oh, it's just kind of like having a cup of coffee.
Yeah, most of the potheads. And then I've been around.
I don't get
even in education, but I'm not going to say names. Some exceptional minds who I can sit around.
I don't understand
curriculum.
It's like, oh,
they're exceptional.
I drink a 6-pack and I'm gonna take this. This engine apart, and I'm like, dude, I'd be gone. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyways,
but drink is worse for you, and they allow drinking.
Yeah. Well, maybe they'll start to change that policy. I don't know.
We'll see, eh?
We'll see. Last but not least, for the last one before we wrap up.
Talk to me.
The average gas pump is about 11,000 times dirtier than your average public toilet seat. I was like, oh, that's gross. Because
think about this concept this way. I'm going to put my mouth on a gas pump, or I'm going to lick the toilet seat. What sounds worse? Oh, the toilet seat. Oh, just a thought of it. I know you guys are gagging.
Gas pumps are dirtier. And I'm like, how is that even possible? But how often do they clean gas pumps? Never.
Yeah.
And I had a friend who's like,
actually, during COVID, I had my own spray bottle, and I would spray with that.
But he's like, oh, dude, every time you're gonna laugh at me, but every time I pump gas, I wear gloves. I'm like, what? Mm-hmm. Why? It's like, dude, those things are disgusting. And I'm like, whatever. And now I think I'm like, makes me want to hand sanitizer. Give me some of that right now. Like pump gas.
You want some? Yeah, I got it.
Pump gas this morning. I'm like,
let's be free. Okay.
Yeah, because those things are disgusting. So,
We're back.
anyways, but yeah, if you're pumping gas, wash your hands. 'Cause if not, you know what happens when you don't wash your hands. A lot of germs. What's the best thing you've seen all week?
You know, I always have things in my head all day, and I get to this point, and I'm like, wait, what? So last time I wanted to mention the powder puff game that we coached, and just how ferocious these girls are.
Oh,
But this week,
girls they're
man, they're more
coaching girls.
More, yeah,
Is a different beast.
You've coached powder puff games before.
Oh
so you've
my
seen
God.
this.
They're
We talked about this.
they are vicious.
Some guys are nail ripped off. She can't give them the game. People are getting like scratched in the face.
I remember
They don't think they
one
wanna
of
get
our
back in.
players, because I coached Powder Puff
Uh-huh.
and went undefeated. I might add.
Uh-huh.
I think it was 8-0 after I retired. A girl got clotheslined.
Mm.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
and she's like, I think she like fractured her clavicle, whatever.
Yeah.
We found out after the fact. But she was like, put me back in. I'm ready. I'm like, you're crazy, girl.
There you
Like,
go.
your shoulder's like
Yeah.
this or whatever. But yeah, like, you tell me that story.
I was trying to tell the girls, like, every year, I was trying to tell the girls that even guys, whoever, like the greatest thing about football, and this might sound bad to you guys, but the greatest thing about football it is legal violence. You can't just
Mhm.
walk up somebody in school and just clock them. But on the football field, it is very much encouraged. Oh yeah, clock them, intimidate them,
Yeah.
run them down. You see with like the World Cup, right? They get touched and and I
That's part
understand
of the
there's a
game.
strategy to
Yeah,
it.
it's a strategy.
I understand the strategy to it, but just
Yeah.
makes me sick. I
It's
don't
like
know.
grass hockey.
The girls, you watching them, they're in the powder puff games. They're not trying to sell it.
Yeah.
But the best thing I've seen all week have to be between very entertained that Brazil lost.
Oh my god. That was-
Why?
What a-
Because there's a lot of Mexicans that root for Brazil, and I'm thinking, why? Obviously, because they want to. They're
they're a
admire
popular team.
Neymar and back in the days Ronaldo, Ronaldinho,
Pele.
Pele. Yeah. Okay, I get that. And Argentina, okay, Messi is absolutely phenomenal. By the way, did you see him standing next to the goalkeeper?
Like
the
that guy
goalkeeper-
was a giant.
Yeah, the goalkeeper was like this, and Messi standing next to
He
him,
was a
and I swear he's
giant.
like this tall.
And
He
Messi,
was-
I mean,
Uh-huh.
props to him, man.
Yeah.
They won. They pulled it off again. So
Yeah, so where Brazil lost in goal kicks,
yeah, and
Argentina won in goal
Argentina.
penalty kicks.
So
So best thing I've seen all week. I do want it, and maybe that is.
no,
best
I think that was the best thing. That
What?
was awesome to see. That was a great games. I
I-
played the games in my class while they were working.
thing. I ruined your surprise.
No.
Oh no. By the way, I've noticed your fancy footwear here. So
Oh, yeah.
look at that, baby.
Oh.
See, boom. Yeah, I gotta get some new ones, but they're falling
Chuck
apart. But
Taylor.
they're still good. Chucks. Just can't step on any rocks.
All right.
I feel
Well,
everything, but
Best thing I've seen all week. It's kind of like it's been a rough week, you know.
oh,
I've
that's right.
gone to 3 funerals in 4 days this past week.
Well, I knew of one
You
of
know.
them.
Yeah. Well, my grandma passed away last week. Rest in peace,
Yeah.
abuelita. But kind of like what we talked about before, like funerals, nobody misses. So you get to see your family, right?
Yeah.
And like it's a sad time, but we get a chance to celebrate. With the family get together. So we did that. But what I like to sort of highlight was, and kind of going back to the other things that I saw this week that kind of go with that was the unity in the community. In the San Luis, Somerton, Yuma County, in the community, several people passed away. They were
Yeah.
members of a tribute band, right? And they were, dude. You don't realize how.
Those are Smiths.
No, it was
it's
another one, and there was a Selena tribute band and
Okay.
a Maná tribute band,
Mhm.
and unfortunately they were in a traffic accident. And passed.
Oh,
Four
wow.
of the members passed away. Well, I knew one of them.
Oh, Monatribute.
Yeah, and but what I was getting to is how loved they were, dude.
Yeah.
Like I went to the funeral, and yes, funerals are sad, but it was a beautiful thing to see how many people like came to pay their respects.
They make people feel good. A
And,
lot of people feel good.
Yeah, and several of them
Yeah.
were teachers. They were educators,
Oh wow.
and they had a mariachi playing,
Yeah.
and all of the members of the mariachi were his students. And I was like, wow,
Wow.
what a way to pay respects, and like kind of like, you taught me this art, this skill, and we're gonna play these songs at your funeral.
Mhm.
And it was cool, man. But that's probably the best thing I've seen all week is just, during difficult times, how much people come together and support. There's like been fundraisers put together, GoFundMe's, collecting funds to pay for the family's funerals, and there's a concert that's already been planned that's going to happen in January. That's a sort of a tribute to the members and sort of to raise funds and all. So I definitely have to say that the best thing I've seen all week, even though it's during a time of sadness, is the unity in the community.
Yeah, that'd be the worst. Yeah, absolutely. That'd be the worst and best thing I'd seen in a week because there's nothing like a Mexican funeral.
Oh,
Because I remember the first time I went to one in Mexicali right here.
Yeah.
We showed up. It was for my wife's. Okay, it's complicated, the relation. So anyways, we're all there. And I'm hanging around with whoever hanging around with in the family, right? And they tell, hey, Nick, come here. I go to the truck, back of the truck, and all of a sudden he opens the thing. He pulls out an ice chest. I'm like, all right, I think he brought water. It's in the summer in Mexicali. It's hot. So we brought water. So I get it down, and we open it up. There's a bunch of Modelos in there.
mm-hmm.
So there we are freaking drinking, and all of a sudden everybody starts going by. And then and even a few days earlier at the viewing, right?
Yeah.
And it was, why can't I remember the business? The viewing, where you do the viewing in Mex, the Goyoso. I forget. Anyways, yeah, but even then, like the viewing, if we're all outside in the parking lot, all drinking. I'm thinking,
Are you talking about the car, the carroza?
when they do the viewing,
El velorio?
yeah.
Velorio.
So this place is
Yeah.
called the Goyoso, I think.
Oh, okay.
That's what that's where they did it, right? And man, I've I'm happy and ashamed to say that I had fun celebrating their life in the park.
Well, I mean, and I always think of it this
and
way.
then the
And
food after. Food after.
is like when I die,
Yeah.
people are gonna be sad, or some might be happy. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's like, dude, like, hey, enjoy yourselves, celebrate what we had. So, and that's what we did, really. And so, at the end of the day, it kind of allows us to kind of put things in perspectives, and more than anything, it's another reminder of how short life is and how precious it is. So, do what you love, spend time with those you love, and spread love. And I love doing this. So with that, salud.
Just hope I don't piss myself on the way.
We'll end on that note.
Yeah, baby. Got it.
So,
Till next time.
we'll do it again.
Got a couple good shows coming up.
Salud.
Yeah, baby.
Boom.